Hello, so as you can see we are where we finished off at the end of last video. The only thing I've now done is I've sort of finished off the bottom of this sandstone building here. But there's one glaring thing missing, and that's this skyscraper behind me. Now this is going to be a grey mid-rise sort of building to sort of be the focal point of the back of the marina. And let's get right into designing it. Okay, so this is the design I've got so far. As you can see, it is just the first floor because once I'm happy with this, I'm going to copy it up and then we can see how it looks and make some changes. Now, as you can see, I've gone for some balconies along the edge, and in the middle I've not got the balconies. This just adds a bit of variety which it might need, but I'm concerned it might not be enough. So let's just paste it up a few floors and then we can see, and we can actually add some floors in the middle of it so it's not just hollow. Okay, now what I'm initially thinking is this looks mostly good. I'm just going to remove where these balconies jut out a bit too much. I don't think it's got that sleek look I want for this building. And of course, then to make the balconies more interesting, I'm adding in some wood behind them, just like the other apartments. And then we can copy the floors up, making it no longer look hollow. Okay, so now having worked a while on designing this tower block here, I've decided that actually this is exactly what I want to not do. So I'm gonna completely restart from scratch and redo the whole thing. A similar size, but like a bit smaller, a more interesting shape, and something that just blends better with the other buildings around it. So yeah, I'm gonna just get rid of this, I think. And we can then just work from a clean palette. So typically I'd say a good rule of thumb is the taller you go, the thinner it should be, but I always try and go wider than like 15 blocks, so like 18 blocks is probably what I'm going to go for. So already I'm much happier with where this is going. I mean, if you ignore the base for now, and now I'm probably going to add some floors so it looks a bit less hollow, but I quite like how we've got this glass effect here, so I'm going to try and preserve that while adding a bit more detail to it. Now I think the balconies do look a bit weird or might be too distracting, so I'm now experimenting with adding some trusses instead. But then I don't think these fit in with everything else around it, so I think I'm still going to remove these as well, just to get a more simple design. Okay, so this is the final design for the tower that I've come up with. As you can see, it's a very sort of sleek and modern design, which I think will work well as we sort of transition to a financial sort of district over here. Which is why I've actually pasted in this interesting design here, as I think it'll sort of fit the aesthetic that we're going for over this section, which will contrast to the very sort of beachy holiday vibe over towards the beach here. So what I'm thinking is eventually, maybe later in this video, I'll turn these apartments into offices, or at least something that's more in the style of the sleek modernness of this tall skyscraper here. But anyway, next I think I'm going to work on some office blocks around the back here for a bit. And it's going to take inspiration from this sort of look here. So let's go. This building I'm designing now isn't really from a real life reference. I just had this idea of the V-shaped columns as well as the horizontal slabs, and I think they work together nicely. The only challenge when not working from any reference is actually finishing the building off, so like coming up with your own design for the base and the roof and things. But I'll leave that to future me to figure that out. So for now, I like what we've got going here. I'm just a bit concerned for how these sleek offices are going to blend with the more holiday-like apartments over there. But actually, I think a bit of contrast is nice. Though moving forward, I'll try to be consistent in keeping this area to the left to be a more modern and commercial sort of themed area. Now, before we leap into too much building, I think it's worth planning out the roads a bit more. So what I'm planning on is extending this road here along a bit first. And then I'll have a small alleyway background here, which I think I'll just keep to a pedestrian street, like the one I did last video. So that would mean round the side of this new building I would have a T-junction with a quite steep road going up the hill. I'm just quickly designing a different variation on this tree here, so that things don't get too repetitive after I copy the road many times. Otherwise it will be really obvious I've just used the same tree. And then here I'm just designing a quick T-junction, trying to get all the different crossings in for the bike lane and things. I will eventually add traffic lights as well to make it more realistic, but for now I'm just planning things out. So here I'm pasting in some different palm trees which are a bit shorter. I think they really fit the beachy vibe that I'm going for, and they especially fit the colour scheme of the sandstone building behind. I'm actually going a bit sparser with the other greenery here because I don't want to overdo it, so I'm not going to place the palm trees on small beds of grass like I've done elsewhere. Instead, I'm going to try to create interest in the pavement itself, such as by integrating some tile patterns like I've done here. This is actually something that you can come across in real life, such as I've seen in southern Spain. Also, to make it more interesting, I'm going to absolutely pack the street with seats, signs, bike racks and other things like that. So let's do that. Right, there we go. This is a small example of what I'm sort of thinking for this sort of road where it's going to be very busy. And we've got a sign here that's held up with some poles. We've got some bike racks for people using the bike lane. And we've got a nice sectioned off outdoor dining area and another sectioned off seating area. And you can see where I've gone for the different brick tile patterns. And what I'm thinking is I'm actually going to make this a door here. And then that's where this path is leading to. And as you can see on the inside, I've gone for stone bricks. And then this sort of just separates it from the stone on the outside and adds more textural detail, which I like. Right, now I'm going to have a go at building the base to this building, which I always struggle with. But eventually I've just decided to use light grey concrete with the combination of alternating glass blocks with glass panes, which always looks quite cool. And so now we can add some grass towards the bottom of the building. And to start off with, I've just marked out where I want some grass, and this just gives a neat lawn effect, which was quite nice. However, because the grass always looks a bit too bare for my liking, I've now changed it back to my usual podzol and leaves combination. And now I think I'd like to add some street details, so I'm going to place some benches into the grass area. And I think this has brought it all together, brought it all to life. However, let me know if you preferred just the grass lawns, as I do think that also had its charm. Okay, so now I'm just going to have a go at extending this road. It's going to be another 2-lane road with a bike lane, and I'm going to have it go up the hill with the terrain. So, because this road has a gradient, I need to decide how to transition the pavement between the sloped pavement and the flat pavement next to it. So, although doing it with curves as I firstly tried to do looks quite cool, I think keeping the pavement to just straight square edges does look less distracting, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so now I've done a bit more of the road. As you can see, I just pasted this side of the pavement to this side of the road. But now, before I go ahead too far, I want to plan out what I'm going to do around the back of these buildings here, because otherwise you could end up with it just being a bit messy and everything not really fitting together. So actually what I'm thinking of doing is, because these need to go upper floor anyway, I'll probably raise this upper floor by connecting this with this building and then having a small 1-story outcrop that will also connect with this building here that will then be on street level. And so that should hopefully make this building make a bit more sense and fill some of the space that could be if a road comes all the way around here, because otherwise there's an awkward amount of space behind it here. For this building, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I might just have a small park area behind it. So here, I'm just planning out the spacing of the greenery, just to make sure that the palm trees have enough space. So I think 3 blocks either side and 3 blocks this side should work well. And then here's probably, I'm thinking it will be a 4-lane road. Sorry, I'm thinking it will be a 4-lane road actually, because then that just gives us sort of a main focal road to this sort of area of the city, but I'm not really sure. Okay, so let's just do that. So now I'm trying to decide what to do with the front/back of this building here. I've actually decided to make it more interesting in shape so that it's not just a rectangle. And also, if this is going to be the main road, the 4-lane road, then I'd like this to look just as impressive from this side as the other side. So now I'm trying to figure out what to do for something different in the corner. But like, I'm not quite sure, nothing's really working yet. So I'll just maybe leave that and work on maybe a ground floor for this building here that's going to fill up the space behind me. Okay, so this is what I've got currently, and now I'm thinking I'm going to finish off the roof of this, either by adding a deck on top, or I might actually add a rooftop garden. And I think that will look good and sort of fit the fun vibe of this building here. And I'll try and figure out something for the base of here, probably continuing the dark oak log as you can see I've got there. So now I've done a bit more progress. As you can see, I've added this small little extra section here because I felt like this building needed a bit of dark contrast. And now for the garden here, I'm actually going to copy some trees from over this building. So I'm going to copy these trees here because I like the design and they work well for like a mini garden where you don't want full-size trees. There we go, there's the first one. Now I'm just going to rotate it and paste it again. And now to decorate it, let's add some more leaves and things. Okay, so now I'm quite happy with the base of this building here. To add a bit more detail though, I'm just going to do what I did the last episode, where I just add some calcite towards the bottom here. And there we go, that just creates like a mini gradient where it just looks a bit more grimy, where it's sort of been left around the back here. And it adds a bit of story, like maybe someone's just sort of forgot to clean it, or budget cuts, you know. And now I'm just going to copy this dark oak around the base of this building here. And then this area here should basically be done other than its surroundings. Okay, so now this area here is done, let's move back over to this section over here where I'm going to design probably the last building for today. I'm going to firstly neaten up the back of this building behind me, and then I'm going to design a small building to go in this gap here. So the design of this building is sort of inspired by the first one I did last video, in that sort of Bauhaus style, and so I quite like it. Okay, so now I've got a sort of base that I'm very happy with, and now I'm going to work on something to sort of finish it off around this side that's going to be similar and stylish, but then contrast nicely. Okay, so this is what I'm thinking so far, and now I'm just going to step the corner back a bit so it's got a bit of depth. I mean, I might step it all back by 1 block so it's sort of got that stepped look to it. And then I think this fits really nicely so that we can have a small back alley here with like bins and junk and things where it looks like it's a bit less kept and looked after. And I think that will be a nice contrast. So anyway, this is what I've got so far. I think it's pretty neat and I really like the view we've got here. Now, to be honest, I don't know what I'm going to do in terms of decorating the pavement. And I think we're running out of time for this video, so I don't know if I'll get around to doing that today. And to finish off for today, I think we need to just work on improving this building behind me. Because currently we've got a view here that kind of leads to the side of this building, which is very underwhelming thinking about it. So I might just add some sort of glass elevator to add a bit more interest, or something else along the side, maybe a few more balconies that will make it more of a feature. And then that will bring this little intersection here and really make it a centerpiece of the city. Okay, so I'm pretty happy with the progress I've got here. This is something I've actually wanted to do for a while to this building, is transition to a more glassy sort of modern look around one of the sides. And I think that's turned out pretty well. It's sort of got the effect I wanted. Hopefully then in a future episode we can finish everything off. In the next video, I think I'm going to work over this side, over towards the beach, where I might even add a marina, and I might work on the road over here, working on where that's going to go. I'm very happy with this building we've designed today, as well as this, which has got this interesting columns and things. And I'm very happy with this Bauhaus style building here. Anyway, I really hope you're looking forward to more progress on this build, and if you did enjoy the video, I would really appreciate it if you liked and subscribed. It always helps me out, and thank you very much for watching.